Hey, what's up everybody? Gonna give a quick update on everything that I've been doing over the past few days. Been trying to do little things here and there, just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. So just kind of give a quick run through on what those things are. So let's take a look and see what we've gotten accomplished. All right, so up here on a previous video, we talked about how we had kind of figured out that these things, brackets sit under here, they sandwich in place. I had not tightened those up, but I went back and shot some paint on those and have now finished tightening this whole cross member up. So that is in. This is where the leaf spring hangers used to live. You can see the little marks here and actually the rivets that are left on there. And so we had to move those back 8 3/4 inches. So like I'd mentioned, we had a line scribed underneath here. I just took some clamps, clamped these onto the frame, drilled these holes in, and got those bolts through, then came back after these were tightened on and finished drilling these holes underneath. So that's on both sides. So that's done. So right here you can see this U-shaped piece, Y-shaped piece I should say, that's going to go onto the rear differential and the cross member. You can see I tried to put the bushings in here, and I was smacking them in with a hammer, and although it was somewhat working, hitting rubber with a hammer was not the best. And so if you look right here, it actually started to kind of rip this apart as I was getting it set up in that differential piece. So bought a new tool, little Harbor Freight 6-ton shop press. So I'm going to give this thing a shot because we've got a good bit of bushings to put in, and on sale this thing was like 60 bucks or something. So it's worth a shot, see how it does. So that's what I'm going to do next. So here we go. Alright, so I went through and took a look at all of these bushings now that I've been working on them for a little bit, and just wanted to kind of lay things out here, make it a little bit easier for the next person. So here we have these brackets that are going to go onto the axle. They've got a spot for a bushing. They've got the Zerk fitting in there, and so those line up with a pair of 2 3/4 inch bushings. Then we have 2 5/8. 2 5/8 goes on the nut side of these trailing arms. Also on each piece of the Y-shaped arm. So that gets 2 5/8 all the way around. And then also on these rear bag mounts, on one side of them, the small side, is also going to be 2 5/8. And then the last thing we've got is all of the 3-inch. So on these rear bag brackets, the bottom, which is bigger, is going to be 3-inch, as well as these trailing arms. The large side of the trailing arms is also going to be 3-inch. So hopefully that helps somebody out. All right, we got success on the first one here. Maybe not the best method, but it's gonna work. So we'll keep on going and we'll do the next 3. Alright guys, next thing we're going to do is mount this shock bar, the top tower here. It's a cross member piece, and I took a picture, I found a picture online of how this rear end looks once it's all assembled. You can see here that gives us really a good representation of all the pieces that attach to the axle and how they go. So that answers a lot of my questions. Next thing though is we're going to get back onto this. So what I've done here is this bar is about 1.5 inches longer. It would, if I sit it flush on the other side, it hangs over about 1.5 inches here. And so I could trim it down to fit and then weld it in place. Instead, what I'm thinking I'm going to do is drill a hole with a hole saw on each side and let the bar nestle in, seat nicely, and then I can weld it in place. So I measured from the top here to halfway down this pipe and made a mark with that, and then see if I can show that to you. So here you can see, if it'll focus, you can see from the top here coming down there's a line right there, which is that distance so that my shock tower doesn't sit above this height. I really want my bed floor, even though I'm going to have to do some cutouts and stuff, I don't want anything coming above this. So I've got this mark here, and then I took half the distance. This is a 4-inch piece, came out 2 inches, marked that there. So I'm going to center punch this, cut it out with the hole saw, and then stick the piece in on each side and come back and we'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so coming back here, what we've got, I was running this with the hole saw, and my hole saw is meant mostly for wood, so it would have either eaten up the bit or taken forever to get through. So I did decide just to have a mark here to go from as a reference point, and so I did trim down this bar here, the shock bar. And so if I kind of nestle this in place, you'll see that I've got a good mark on both sides. It's exactly centered, that I can use whatever C-clamps and stuff to hold this in place, that I can tack it and really have a good solid connection to the metal there. So that's how I'm moving forward with that. Next, if I look down at the axle, took some time over the past few days and went ahead and got the existing leaf spring mounts removed from the axle, cleaned off all the grease and grime from the differential over, and then ground it down so that it was nice and clean. Shot some weld through primer, since in that image you saw we've got 2 spots that we need to have some mounts welded on. So that is coming together. That is prepped and ready to go. I've still got the brake line on here. I'll most likely end up redoing that. I'm keeping this 2-wheel drive rear end just because it matches up with the transmission. I'm going to use that 700R4 transmission that was factory on this as well. I know that I'll end up having to run wheel spacers and probably a 10-inch wide wheel to get the proper seating inside of the rear fenders, but that's all right. Did get this pushed back in place. Obviously it's connected. You saw the bushings going in, and so things are starting to come together. Just taking this thing step by step, piece by piece. You can see here these guys are just chilling and waiting to go on now at this point. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. We're making progress. We're getting things set up, and next video we're going to start putting some of this stuff in place, get that axle raised up and on some jack stands so we can start working on the on all the rest of the linkage. But like, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.